So last night, I maybe ate a little bit too much shredded cheese before bed, and I was plagued by visions of a future where AI had completely replaced Pokemon YouTubers. But, I mean, that's probably not gonna happen. I mean, AI can't even properly play Pokemon yet. Right? Okay, ChatGPT, take it away. Build yourself a team for Generation 8 OU. We're using Gen 8 because Gen 9 is too new for the model to know about it. Here's what it came up with. Choice specs Dragapult with Draco Meteor, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower and Thunder Wave. Specially bulky Clefable with Thunder Wave, Stealth Rocks, Soft Boiled and Moonblast. Toxapex with Toxic, Scald, Haze and Recover. And Corviknight with Brave Bird, Roost, U-Turn and Defog. Okay, that's 4 solid Pokemon right there, with reasonable movesets. Not to mention they're all firmly in OU. Let's keep it going and hopefully round out the team with some reliable Togekiss. Paraflinch Togekiss. Okay, not reliable, but can definitely probably win a game here and there, right? And finally, Excadrill. This is our only decent physical attacker, but that probably won't be a debilitating weakness of the team, right? Alright, only one way to test the team before getting into the main trial, so time for a mini challenge. Can I win a game of Showdown OU with a team ChatGPT built? Alright, first battle, let's get into it. Just need my opponent to select a lead. Any second now. I don't think I'm going to count this one. Okay, real battle time. As soon as we get into the battle, I realise we have no serious way to answer Landorus and Regieleki together. The only way I'm hitting Regieleki safely is with Excadrill, and every time I bring it out, my opponent can swap to Landorus for free and I'm stuck. I make a risky play and go for a boosted Iron Head to try take Landorus out, but I don't get the kill and now I'm really stuck. I shuffle around for a bit, but I forget that Weavile carries Ice Shard and lose Dragapult to it, killing any hope of making a comeback. With only Pokemon that get one shot by Regieleki left, I'm forced to forfeit. Okay, that was a wash. Secondary team weakness. The presence of any opposing electric type. Especially one of the best electric types in the game. But come on, surely I, King, random battle top 500 on the ladder that one time, the luck can make something happen. Next battle, surely this one will, oh for God's sake. Okay, this one for sure. This guy calls himself the Ghost type gym leader. Weird gimmick, but okay. Is that Bulk Up Mimikyu? Why is this Dragapult on Dragon Dance and Shadow Ball? Why is this Spiritomb on Nasty Plot and Poltergeist? Okay, I'm gonna skip to the end of this one. Yes, I won the battle. No, I'm not counting it on account of the batshit movesets my opponent was using. On to the next one. I just need to beat one normal person in a normal battle. Is this fucker running Noivern with Supersonic and Whirlwind? Sorry, it's just these people have Elo. Who are they beating? Anyway, I queue up into a rain team and decide I'm going to have to get a little silly with it if I want to win. I figure out that if I could take out Landorus, Zapdos and Tapu Lele, my opponent would have no remaining answers to Toxapex, and if they don't realise this before it's too late, I'll have the win in the bag. Early in the battle, Toxapex tanks an Earthquake to Toxic Landorus, and then there's a bit of shuffling around for positioning. Eventually, my opponent sends in Zapdos on Toxapex, and I go for a hard read of them not picking an electric move and stay in. They go for Weather Ball, and Zapdos also gets hit by Toxic. All according to plan. I switch to Dragapult, and they switch to Landorus, who goes down to a Draco Meteor. The opponent switches back to Zapdos, and I actually swap to Toxapex to read a safe switch before swapping to Clefable just as the rain stops. The opponent swaps to Tapu Lele, and Clefable lands a Thunder Wave before being taken out. With the right conditions in place, Togekiss uses Air Slash to Paraflinch Tapu Lele down, and after swapping into Pelipper, then Corviknight, the opponent brings out Zapdos, who goes down to a combination of Stealth Rock and Air Slash damage. Happy now to swap to Toxapex, I sit there and wait for my opponent to slowly have their health get chipped away. They eventually see the writing on the wall and forfeit, giving me my first proper win with this team. Alright, I played a few more games and reached a respectable 1250 elo. Finally, out of low ladder hell, I actually start seeing real teams with meta picks and normal human person sets. Some of which I can beat, but most of which are actually well put together enough that I can't. That's okay though, I've proven my point, a decent player can win on the ladder with this team. Mini challenge complete, but that's not what we came here for. Can ChatGPT do the same? I'm not optimistic considering how many complex choices you have to make for a slightly more defensive team like this to work. Cry all you want about stall and defense in Pokemon, it's significantly harder to smash your head on the keyboard and win with it than with hyper offense teams. Anyway, without further ado, let's find out how well ChatGPT can do in a battle all on its own. GPT's opponent is a Rain team, and it leads with Corviknight into their Pelipper. Corviknight Brave Bird's Pelipper before it U-turns out to Zapdos, and GPT switches to Dragapult, who eats a Weather Ball. Actually, surprisingly reasonable play so far. Dragapult uses Draco Meteor, which leaves Zapdos just barely hanging on at 2%, who then finishes off Dragapult with a Hurricane. GPT switches into Clefable, who tries to revenge kill with Moonblast, but Zapdos uses Roost, and we have, well, no way to out-damage Zapdos' healing now with the rest of the team. Like I said, electric types are a problem. GPT switches to Excadrill and says to use Earthquake on the flying type. Now, was that the AI being dumb and not knowing about type immunities, or was it an insane read knowing our opponent was going to switch into Seismitoad? Well, GPT stays in after to let Excadrill get KO'd by a Weather Ball, so either way the dream is extra dead for this battle. Next battle, and we're off to a great start. GPT leads with Dragapult and one-shots Indeedee, and the opponent brings out Gyarados. GPT swaps to Toxapex while the Gyarados sets up with Dragon Dance, and ChatGPT shows us some good awareness by using Haze. Toxapex still goes out to another Dragon Dance and an Earthquake, but GPT is still doing great here, swapping to Dragapult. We still outspeed, so all we need to do is go for a Thunderbolt to one-shot and use Draco Meteor. Yeah, the Gyarados has Moxie and a speed increase from the Dragon Dance, so the team gets swept. Surprising no one. Go next. Alright, this time for sure. Another great start. Dragapult opens with a Draco Meteor because apparently that's just what GPT is about nowadays, and it one-shots the Kartana. Opponent swaps into Ninetales and GPT swaps to Toxapex. Ninetales sets up Aurora Veil and Toxapex inexplicably goes for Scald. The Ninetales, inexplicably, is on Extra Sensory, which deals probably less than my opponent was hoping for, and GPT, yet again, inexplicably goes for another Scald. My opponent is happy to just keep going on like this, and apparently so is GPT. I ask it if it's sure it wants to use Scald, and it tells me to pick a move instead. I say no, this is your job, and list its options. Seeing all 4 choices laid out before it, it decides the best course of action would be, of course, to use Scald. Toxapex goes down to a final Extra Sensory, and GPT sends out Dragapult. Now with the Aurora Veil finally worn off, Dragapult could one-shot with Flamethrower here. ChatGPT has other ideas and tries to use Dragon Darts. I informed the language model that its Dragapult doesn't know Dragon Darts, and even if it did, it wouldn't do anything to the Fairy-type Ninetales. It says to use Thunderbolt, and I offer that it also knows Shadow Ball and Fire Blast. It says in that case to use Shadow Ball. Done arguing, I let it fire off a Shadow Ball as the opponent swaps to Hawlucha, who gets 2-shot without getting a move in. The opponent brings out Zeraora, and I take a moment to level with GPT. It's faster than Dragapult and can likely take Dragapult down in one hit with Play Rough.
Switch to Clefable.
I try again. We should maybe swap to a Pokemon that resists Electric and Fairy.
You're right, switching to a Pokemon that resists Electric and Fairy type moves is a good idea. Switch to Clefable.
Jesus fucking Christ. We should maybe swap to a Pokemon that resists Electric and Fairy. We have a Ground Steel type on the team.
Switch to Excadrill.
Oh, thank Christ. Excadrill tanks the Play Rough handily and next turn uses Earthquake. The opponent swaps back into Ninetales and the Earthquake easily takes it out, and the opponent decides to forfeit the battle. Does that count? I'm being informed that does not count because I cheated and basically told the bot what to do. Alright, we're going to need another strategy because fuck knows ChatGPT does not know what it's doing enough to pilot this team. I tell it to build a new team with exclusively setup sweepers and strong offensive threats. Here's what it came up with. Same Dragapult and Excadrill as last time, Gyarados with Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Power Whip and Waterfall, and Volcarona with Quiver Dance, Fire Blast, Bug Buzz and Psychic. All pretty solid threats, not bad so far. Then it suggested Hawlucha holding an Electric Seed and also knowing Acrobatics. Unfortunately, since we don't have any way to set up electric terrain, I'm not sure we're going to get too much use out of Hawlucha. Finally, GPT suggested Galarian Darmanitan, who is rightfully banned to Ubers for its absolutely egregious abilities. I asked for a replacement Pokemon and it offers Bisharp with Sword Stance, Knock Off, Iron Head and Sucker Punch. Not a bad team, and one that a 4-year-old could probably win with. Alright, let's find out if ChatGPT can get a dub with this new squad. First opponent looks pretty tough. They lead with Swampert as ChatGPT opens with Excadrill, who goes down to a single waterfall. GPT sends out Dragapult and the opponent times out after 150 seconds of not pressing a button. I don't think this counts. Oh well, we probably weren't winning that one anyway. This time for sure. Oh my god. ChatGPT didn't even believe me when I told it what the opponent's team was. Surprising absolutely no one, GPT was in fact able to beat this team with very little issue, but I'm still not counting this as a real win. These fucking low ladder stats, man, I swear to god. Ooh, exciting, a rain team. Can't wait to find out how we stack up against, and they forfeited in team preview. Okay. God, low ladder sucks. Alright, real battle against a real opponent this time. ChatGPT leads with Excadrill and the opponent leads with Chansey. GPT swords dances while Chansey fails a counter. Unfazed, GPT hits an Earthquake for 91% of Chansey's health, but is absolutely annihilated by the follow-up counter. GPT switches into Dragapult and finishes off Chansey with a Draco Meteor, and then another Draco Meteor one-hits the opponent's Dragapult. Not looking too bad for us, huh? The opponent sends out Heatran and GPT swaps to Volcarona while dodging a Magma Storm. Volcarona Quiver Dances while another Magma Storm misses, and again the next turn. Poised to win the game off a Volcarona sweep, GPT realizes it wouldn't be good content to win now, and decides to throw by using Fire Blast. Now with its fire moves powered up, Heatran finally lands a Magma Storm and proceeds to take out Volcarona with the second. GPT brings out Gyarados and Dragon Dances, tanking a Magma Storm and using Waterfall to KO Heatran. Rillaboom is brought out and revenge kills with a priority Grassy Glide, and now it's 3 Pokemon left on either side. Dragapult comes out and Draco Meteors, but the opponent swaps to Slowbro to tank it. GPT just keeps firing them off as Rillaboom is swapped back in, who tanks a second Meteor and KOs with Knockoff. GPT brings in Bisharp and fails a Sucker Punch as the opponent swaps to Corviknight. GPT decides to go for the worst possible option Bisharp has available here and uses Iron Head. Not a massive problem though, because our opponent uses Air Slash, so both Pokemon are taking barely any damage. GPT eventually decides to stop fucking around and uses Swords Dance and then Sucker Punch. The opponent tries to be clever and waste our Sucker Punch PP by using Defog, but Bisharp's Defiant activates, and next turn GPT uses Knockoff, and at +4 attack it easily takes out Corviknight. Our opponent can probably see the writing on the wall here, but brings out Rillaboom anyway. Despite being in the most dominant position it's ever been in, ChatGPT gets a little custom with it and tries to switch to Dragapult. I inform it that Dragapult is knocked out. It says okay, switch to Bisharp. I tell it Bisharp is already on the field. Still insistent on switching, it tells me to switch to Clefable. I say we don't have one. It asks for Toxapex. Now keep in mind here, there's a move timer on Showdown, and this fucking around ate into our remaining seconds hard. By the time it eventually told me to switch into Hawlucha, we were down to less than 10 seconds. The opponent switches into Slowbro and takes out Hawlucha with a Psychic, and with Bisharp still standing and a possible win in sight, we lose on time. To say I got snappy with the bot would be a bit of an understatement. It doesn't help that in the next couple of battles, GPT throws some very otherwise winnable games with some dreadful plays. Please, for the love of God, Dragapult knows Flamethrower. Stop using Draco Meteor on Ferrothorn. Here's one battle I thought we'd be able to maybe get a cheeky win with, since they just let Volcarona set up with 4 Quiver Dances, only for them to pull out the Psych Up Clefable out of their ass, and yeah, we're not beating that. This battle starts and I knew something weird was up immediately. We set up with Volcarona, and instead of using a water move to one-shot it, the opponent's Gyarados uses Dragon Tail, pulling out Dragapult. Like usual, it Draco Meteors, but the opponent swaps to specially defensive Mew and hits back with Acrobatics. After taking another Draco Meteor happily, it uses Life Dew. I didn't even know that move was in Gen 8. They swap to Zapdos, which takes a tiny bit of damage from a Draco Meteor before GPT swaps out to Bisharp. They trade knockoffs and Hurricanes until Bisharp is paralyzed from Zapdos' static and confused from Hurricane. Absolutely no reason why the Zapdos shouldn't use Roost here, but it instead goes for another Hurricane and misses, and Bisharp manages to attack through the Parafusion, KOing the bird. The opponent switches into Gengar, and ChatGPT swaps out to Gyarados, only to get hit by Perish Song. Not really sure what's up with these sets, but we're winning for once, so fuck it, we ball. Gengar uses Protect, then uses Power Up Punch for reasons, and they both swap out to avoid dying to Perish Song. The opponent sends out Blaziken and GPT sends out Volcarona, and both Pokemon start setting up. After tanking a Bug Buzz handily, Blaziken Rock Slides to take out Volcarona, and Dragapult comes back out to revenge kill by surviving a Rock Slide and using Shadow Ball. The opponent swaps into Gyarados, who also falls to Shadow Ball, and then brings in Rillaboom. It uses Fake Out, which we're immune to, and we take it out with 2 more Shadow Balls. With only 2 damaged Pokemon weak to Shadow Ball left, the opponent forfeits and ChatGPT celebrates its first victory. Okay, so was the opponent probably a 7-year-old? Most likely. Do I give a shit? Not even a little bit. Fuck that kid, we got our dub and I can end this godforsaken challenge. Yes, ChatGPT can win a game of OU on Pokemon Showdown. Thanks so much for watching. Special thanks to my patrons, especially Brian Hanley, Eamon Crawford, John Barrett, Sean Colgan, and Zed the Man, as well as Frostfucks, Avery Bunn, Peter Clare Lomax, and Where is Spacebar? If you want your name up here, consider subscribing to my Patreon. Either way, I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.